All right, welcome back. Today we're doing beta receptors. So in yesterday's video, I mentioned the sympathetic nervous system is comprised of two different types of receptors, alpha receptors and beta receptors. They are further broken up into alpha 1 receptors and alpha 2 receptors, and beta 1 receptors and beta 2 receptors. There are also beta 3 receptors, but we're not going to be going into that mostly because on physiology exams, you're only tested on beta 1 and beta 2 receptors. So let's begin. Beta 1 receptors. Where are the receptors located? So the beta 1 receptors are located on the heart primarily. They're also located in the kidney as well, but mainly the heart. That's what we care about here. So what happens when norepinephrine binds? So when norepinephrine binds to beta 1 receptors on the heart, it increases the heart rate. So the heart's going to beat faster. The force of contractions will also increase. So your heart's going to be more, the muscles of the heart are going to basically be pumping more forcefully, more aggressively. So an example is like when you get scared and you kind of feel your heart's kind of beating on your chest, that feeling you have, that's what's going on. Is that force of contractions and the heart rate are increasing. Both of them are increasing. When norepinephrine binds to beta 1, it activates the GS pathway. If you need a refresher on what the GS pathway is, I made a whole video on that. I suggest you watch that. But the very simplistic version is the G protein activates adenyl cyclase, which makes CAMP, which activates pKa or phosphokinase A, which leads to phosphorylation and then a cell response. So let's look at the diagram, the picture I made here. So typical acetylcholine binds to the neuron, which we got that, which is going to secrete norepinephrine when the action potential reaches the synaptic terminal. Norepinephrine is going to bind to beta 1 receptors on the heart. The green little thing is the receptor, and the blue is the norepinephrine, and then obviously the red is the heart. So it's going to bind to the receptor. More specifically, it's going to bind to the SA node of the heart. The SA node is the pacemaker of the heart. The reason your heart beats at 60 to 100 beats per minute is because of the SA node. We're going to get into that when we get into the heart, but just know it binds to the SA node or just the heart in general. So what usually happens is when the SA node, as I said, is the pacemaker of the heart, and it makes the heart beat at 60 to 100 beats per minute. Well, when this beta 1 receptor is activated, or when norepinephrine binds to beta 1, it's literally going to tell the SA node, hey, time to ramp up that speed, right? No more 60 to 100 beats per minute. We need like 120. Why is this important? Remember, when we're scared, we are using our muscles more, right? If you need to fight off a predator, we need to be essentially using more oxygen in our muscles so we can keep moving, we can keep running, we can keep fighting. Well, if we use more oxygen in our body, we need a lot more blood to be pumped, right, throughout our body. So when we go over beta 2 in a second, I want to go over that, okay, beta 1 is for heart, beta 2 is for the lungs. And lungs, well, you know what, let's just do it right now, actually. Beta 2. Beta 2 targets the blood vessels and the lungs. The action is vasodilation of the blood vessels and bronchodilation of the lungs. So vasodilation means the blood vessels is that we're going to make the blood vessels bigger to the very important organs like our heart, our lungs, and our muscles, right? We need more blood to be going to our muscles because they're going to be using them more. So for ATP to work and all that stuff, oxygen needs to go to the muscles. More oxygen needs to go to the muscles. That means we need to get a lot more blood in. So that's why we increase the size of the vessels. Bronchodilation is, so there are basically these branches in your lungs. They're like, think about like trees. Trees have branches. It's essentially many, many branches in your lungs, and in those branches is air in the form of oxygen and CO2. So we're going to make these branches bigger because that means we can breathe in a lot more oxygen so the blood can pick it up and deliver it to where we need it. So we got the same neuron here, but be careful here. So your professor may or may not care, but just for accuracy's sake, it's actually going to be epinephrine now that's going to bind to beta 2 receptors, not norepinephrine. So norepinephrine does exist and it does kind of bind, but it's by concentration wise, it's a lot more epinephrine actually. Okay, so let me quickly fix this up because I didn't put this as beta 2. Beta 2. Okay, all fixed. So it's actually epinephrine that's going to bind to the lungs and blood vessels, and it's going to make them dilate. It's going to make them bigger. So over here, we have these little dark looking branches here. That's the wrong color. Let's try to find the right one. It's like this one. Okay, whatever. It's going to basically make these bigger. The blood vessels and lungs, they're going to become bigger now when it binds. So we remember, the lungs needs its own blood supply. So if the lungs are working overtime, right? If you jack up the rate of the lungs, breathe in more, a lot more oxygen. The lungs itself needs energy, needs food, right? In the form of oxygen. So the blood vessels of the actual lungs is going to increase, so you can get a lot more blood going through the lungs. So we can, so the lungs won't die essentially. But also we're getting a lot more blood through the lungs, picking up oxygen, so it can deliver to the rest of the body. Okay? It's kind of a short video, but that's beta 1 and beta 2. Let me quickly go over beta 3 actually. And I won't write it down because it's really simple. Beta 3 is actually located in fat cells, and it causes lipolysis. In other words, it breaks down fat, so you become skinnier essentially. And why is this important? Well, when your body needs energy, it's going to start breaking down some fat. And fat is literally energy. So that's literally quick. See, beta 3 really quick. You don't worry about beta 3, you probably won't be tested on it. I'm almost certain you won't be because it's beta 1 and beta 2 that are important. But anyways, hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Until tomorrow, later.